Hi. If you're watching this, well, thank you for doing so. And well, I'm back again here working on trying to teach you guys how to make an RSIO private server. So where we left off last time was I was kind of explaining how all this worked. Like the role that each of these files plays in the processing of the server. And yesterday, I believe I told you what definitions.js. Well, I told you we were going to spend 90% of our time in definitions.js. And, well, we are. So for starters, how do you code a tank? Well, it's actually kind of easy, because really, you don't even need, it's not even necessary to have that much coding knowledge to actually create a tank. It's making like really advanced high quality tanks or tanks with like special gimmicks that require coding knowledge and whatnot. So let me go to exports.basic. For those of you who don't know, you press Control F while you have your cursor somewhere inside the text document or whatever file you're editing. As long as you have something selected in here, it'll bring this up so you can find it in the file. Because if you're not clicked into it, it'll bring this up. So that's not going to find it. So here's the code for the basic. And you're going to see it looks a little complicated, don't you think? So, first of all, not everything you see here is actually necessary. Let me just call this test. Sure. And then so yeah. First of all, get rid of the controller's nearest different master. It has 2 slashes behind it, so that means it's not actually affecting the code at all. Same applies with these little defs down here. You can go ahead and get rid of these too. So, first thing, parent. Exports.generic tank is it contains all the data that's universally stored across every tank in the game. So, unless it's overridden by something something in this definition can override the details of it, but unless it's specified otherwise, it's going to take properties from this, which greatly shortens it, because if I do generic tank equals, because every tank inherits values from this one, you'll notice this has a pretty long definition compared to some of the other things. So, yeah, don't know what else to say other than that. Let me go back to Windows test. So, label. This is the thing that's going to appear in-game. So as you can see here, basic, that's the name it has in-game. So your first tank should be the thing that pops up in-game as the tank's name. Guns. It gets a little more involved here. And it's an array, so that means it has to have objects inside of it. Arrays are listed as, like, they have the square brackets, objects of the curved brackets. This is, this line right here just gives you information as to what these values in position actually do. So, length, that's obviously how long the gun is. The units for these are kind of arbitrary, but I do know that length and width do coincide. So, like, 1 long isn't going to be any more than 1 wide. Aspect. This is kind of confusing if you don't know what it means, but it's basically the multiplier of the width of the end of the gun. So like it's at 1, which means it's going to be the same width the whole length of the gun. And I can do that I can change this so it looks more like a machine gun, for example, by doing like 1.5. 1.5, yeah. Just leave it at that. So it's gonna be 1.5 times wider at the end of the gun, and you can make it go the other way too. So minus 1.5 will make it so the back of the gun is 1.5 times wider than the front. That's useful for like if you have the width of the barrel and you want it to go wider in the back or something, but so like you don't have to do a decimal aspect and have to work with to try and make it match the barrel length or width. Okay, X offsets. That is not at all what you think it is. So, well, I mean, it kind of is because it's an offset, but basically you want to view it like kind of on a grid, and the front of the tank is facing towards the right. So, X offset's going to move it forward or backwards. Not sure if you guys can see what I'm doing here, or if it's only capturing that one window. So if you can see this window, it's gonna make a bit of sense, but otherwise it's no big deal. So Y offsets like the sides angle. I'm not 100% sure, but well, it's obviously going to be in degrees, but I'm not sure if positive values move it clockwise or counterclockwise. I usually assume it moves it clockwise, but I could be wrong because a lot of times my tanks are symmetrical. And then delay is only necessary if you have properties under it. So just leave it at 0 if it's going to be like a decorative barrel, and I'll show you how to do those later. So properties, this one only has 2, and that's the bare minimum you need for a functional weapon. Shoot settings, combine stats g.basic. This is, it takes a bit of explaining to show you how this works. I'll cover that in the next episode. And then type, exports.bullet. So there's also projectiles that you can choose from. So, whoops. So there's exports.bullet, exports. Let me think. So, bullets, drones, swarm drones, bees, which are just like, if you've seen Modern Eras, it's like beekeeper and swarmer projectiles. Traps and blocks are the like builder traps. They go to where you want them to go. Exports.pillbox, that's just the pillboxes, the things engineers fire. I'm trying to think of something else. Exports.missile is the thing. Whoa, slow down. Missile is the thing that skimmers fire. We don't have the launcher missiles. Since this is Legacy Eris, a lot of projectiles and certain tanks don't exist that should. So this is like really old stuff, and the physics are not the same, but they're similar. And to actually view your private server, you want to go to preview in a new window, and then click open. That'll send you to the IO link, which redirects to the CX link because that's dedicated to private servers. God, 98 in Growth Clan Wars. So you go in here, and this is what your server looks like to begin with. A small room that's about the size of a sandbox lobby, has some rocks that don't quite look like the ones you see in Modern Eras, very similar to it, but not exactly. Crashers are a bit more aggressive. They don't move like polygons do. Pentagons don't. Well, pentagons evolve faster, I think. And the amount of shapes, like the amount of polygons in the room, gets out of hand pretty quickly. Let me see here. What else is there? Oh yeah, much less tanks and the upgrade paths make far less sense. So, for example, if you go on Sniper here, Sniper upgrades to Builder. And Spread Shot comes off of Artillery. And then just like Deep, the Destroyer comes from Machine Gun. Mega Smasher looks different. You see it's got the indents on the shells rather than just being a normal hexagon. Hexatank comes from Twin, a few other things. Yeah. Let me see what else there is. I think that's about it. Yeah. So, oh yeah, another thing. Factory comes directly from Director, which has a longer barrel to match the rest of them. So that's what Legacy Eris used to look like, if you can believe it. It's kind of crazy. Now once you finish creating your tank, how do you make it so you can upgrade to it? Well, let me show you. So you want to go to exports dot whatever your tank's code name is, which is just whatever's up here, not down here. For example, I think the barricade, which isn't normal, it has code for it, but it's not used in Legacy Eris. It's exports.minitrap because it's minigun trapper. So a lot of tanks have like different names. I think Surfer's code name is Brutalizer, which is interesting. So you want to go to exports.basic, and you'll see here we have, these are the upgrade paths. So you got singles, you got smashers, which are for some reason out of order. I'll adjust that right now. And there's a reason that all of these are at the end of the tank definitions and not just in the tank definitions itself. It's because all the entities are defined at this point, so they can actually, the upgrade paths will make sense. So the basics definition becomes before all of these. So if I just put upgrades tier 1 inside of the basic definition, these wouldn't be defined and it would cause an error. So what I'm going to do is put exports.test in here. Preview it. When you make a change to the code, oftentimes it's going to kick you out of the server when you're already in it. That's because it needs to update. So yeah, you see it strongly resembles a machine gun now, because I increased the aspect of it. And, I don't know why my mouse is doing that. It's also going to show up here when you do Control F, because now there's another instance of it. Let me see. So, actually, no. You can, I'll tell you some of the, like, stat sets you can apply to these to make it different from just a basic. So let's do exports well, not exports. Do not put exports in there, it'll cause an error. So you want to do g.match, I believe it is. And then let's do g.double. So this gives it the machine gun stats when applied to basic, and then this makes it fire twice as fast, not half as fast, because that can get confusing at times. Like I myself have gotten confused as to, does double reload mean twice the reload time or twice the fire rate? It's twice the fire rate. And then sometimes they'll flip that around on you, so sometimes it does mean the fire rate gets, the reload time gets longer. I don't know. So yeah, we go in there now. I'm going to increase the length to 20 so it actually matches the legitimate machine gun. Maybe bring this to 1.55. See, level up, first tank is here. Okay, I'm not gonna last very long, because Legacy Era Sentries, these things are overpowered. So yeah, now you see it's like a much more terrifying machine gun. Watch what happens to the Sentry. First of all, it's not dying when I have really good stats. Oh, I guess it is. I stand corrected. But yeah, if you've been following along with how to make changes to the tank, you should be seeing something like this. And if not, check for typos that might cause the gun to not fire at all. Or if you need to, check logs, because you'll see stuff like this, where this is where I accidentally put exports instead of G in here. And a couple things like that happen. So if I do, let's say I accidentally don't type the U in bullet. Okay, it's not doing anything, but if I were to go to the... Yeah, see, it's not going to fire, because it doesn't have the projectile isn't defined properly. Now, if I change that to exports.tet, it's going to give me a type error, see? So what you want to do is you want to scroll up if you see one of these, and you want to go to where it says, this is going to be the exports name of the tank. So you just want to go read through these and see where it says undefined, and then make sure it's correct. And if it is, that's probably something... that's probably, I don't know. I'm not a master at this, but I at least know the basics and a little more. Good God, we can go for 17 minutes. So let me see, what else could we do? Oh, yeah, the multiple guns. So, let's say you want to have a tank that's like the twin. What you want to do is... let's get rid of these. Keep the length, because I'm pretty sure that's how long twins are. Let's go 4 and -4. Oops. -4. And then put 0.5 over here. G.twin. So G.twin, I'm not sure what it does, but I think it like increases penetration and slightly changes the reload and a couple other things. Okay, it's not exactly the twin, but you get the idea. And because I put 0.5 over here, you notice it actually fires like a twin would. Not a good build, I'm not great with those, but you get the idea. It's basically the crack twin, the Twan, if you will. We could also make a minigun out of this. So I'm gonna adjust these to 5, and 20 gun. Why not? So this looks kind of messy, but as long as you keep the values in mind and you remember the order, like you remember the order of the guns, you'll know that this gun is going to be on the same side of the tank as this gun. So another thing you want to know is layering. The gun that's defined, the later it is in the definition, the higher it's going to be layered. So I'm going to make this 18. And then you see if I make this one 22 and go back in there, it's not going to be on the bottom. It's going to be... Oops. See, now one gun's longer and it looks ugly. So just going to make some changes to all these. And it's going to be just more like it's going to be a more painful twin, although it is going to look like a twin minigun. Because you see it's firing all three at once because we haven't adjusted the delays accordingly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a little bit of a math equation for this thing to solve. So I'm going to do 1/3. Well, actually, wait. These are the bottom guns, so they should fire first. I'm going to do 1 divided by 3 plus 1 divided by 3, and then 2 divided by 3 plus 2 divided by 3. So now it's going to look a bit more like an actual minigun. Oh, the reload. Now, isn't that terrifying? So you would be amazed how quickly these tanks can get out of hand. And you'll notice the recoil is also pretty significant with this. You can reduce that. You can increase it. Just anything that's way up. Where's my mouse? Anything that's way up here in this section, you can use those on your guns and it'll modify it accordingly. One thing you want to note though is that these 5 up here are what's known as bases. So these base stats are what make the guns fire. Well, that's what makes them fire normally. So, for example, let me get rid of all these other guns and just put G.twin on the one at the top. Okay, well, not quite what I expected, but it's probably not going to work the same as, like, yeah, it does hardly any damage to these things. Unlike a normal twin, which... Well then. Okay, twin was a bad example. Let's try the machine gun. Still have the label, but no big deal. You see, that's what you get when you don't put a base. So, yeah, just be aware of that. And, I don't know what else to cover here. I'll talk more about stat sets and how you can, like, make your own, modify them, have them do whatever in the next episode. So I guess that's it for now, and I will see you later.